Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new episode of the Logs podcast. In today's episode, guys, it's a very special episode of the Logs because it is 2019 wrapped. Not like the YouTube rewind. This is a Logs rewind. We're going back and we're looking at 2019. What happened? What didn't happen? What was a lot of fun? What should have happened? What we wanted to happen? Everything that happened in 2019. So I've got a cool cast of characters today for your ears, and we're just going to review what the Logs was in 2019, and then we'll top it all off with how we're going to go forward with the Logs and now this voice logs sort of experiment. I don't know if it's really an experiment anymore. It's 25 episodes in at this point. So yeah. First, before we move too far into the topic and everything, let's just introduce who we have in the channel with us today in the round table. Of course, you got the sidekick over here, Beater. So
Hey.
Beater's here. Anything to say, Beater, before we get introduce anybody? Like a little sentence intro.
Man, it's just crazy that the Logs has progressed so far, and I'm up for it. I'm up for anything that the future holds.
For sure. Awesome. Thank you. Next up, we have Christina here.
Hello.
Hello. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm excited to recap 2019. It was a crazy year full of ups and downs, and the Logs has been a huge progression. So I'm excited to talk about it.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Next up, we have Darian in the channel, the Dare Bear.
Hey guys, how are you? Excited that we're ending one decade with the Logs and starting another decade of the Logs. So,
well said.
great stuff.
And lastly, but not leastly, we've got Eleni in the channel. The
Hi everyone. Interrupted.
Oh, sorry.
Hi. No, that was my fault. Hi everyone. I'm excited to be back. I was only featured once, but here we go for the wrap up.
All right. Now, since everybody is introduced and ready to chat, I think we should just jump right into it. Now, if we go all the way back to the beginning, because the Logs really started in January of this year, and it was very highly encouraged by somebody in this channel to do so, to start the thing that is now called the Logs. And that's now 50 or so episodes into its lifetime, I guess. So would the how would you say person that pushed me to do it step forward?
I guess I have to take my bow right now.
Yeah.
I mean, you were talking about making a podcast for so long, and you have such great ideas, and it was more of a conversation that never got off the coffee table,
Yeah.
And at one point, I'm like, just go for it, just try it, say what you want to say, do what you want to do. The worst thing that happens is like you don't fall into it, you don't enjoy it, but I'm really happy that you do and you did. Yeah.
Yeah, it was early in January of last year, I think, at like turn of the year 18 into 19, kind of during that winter break time, and we were planning what this thing could be, kind of shuffling around ideas, shuffling around names and different topics and things that I could talk about, things like that. And I still have the original paper where we did all that stuff, so maybe I'll post it one of these days,
Yeah, we did the
and so
map.
you can see it. Yeah, we did the map. We kind of like drew what the Logs logo would be, the name, some topics for episodes and like segments, things like that. Things that eventually became uh things like they actually became episodes of the Logs. Something like This Is That series spawned from ideas that we had on the original page.
Another
So
original was the game chat.
yeah,
And that was
that's
written on there
true.
as well.
Yeah, I do remember that. We had a whole list of different topics that interest me, and we were trying to find ways to turn them into interesting episodes because a lot of it, what like a lot of our conversations, me and Christina early in the year, were I don't want to just make another generic podcast, and originally it was going to be some sort of YouTube vlog thing, and I don't know, I wasn't like super like ready to do something like that. And then, Christina was saying maybe a podcast, maybe something where you can put a lot of work into episodes and organize them in such a way that they're fun to listen to, and what you like, things like history, where a lot of those original episodes where I was doing a lot of research and a lot of editing and voice work and things like that were history based episodes, philosophy based episodes, social science based episodes, and they came out of that original page from our original little plan thing. So it was that month, the month of January, where things were being outlined, and it wasn't until February 7th when I launched the first episode. And that episode was when we talk about beauty. Now,
Wow.
not
Jimmy
a
said the
lot of
oldest
people,
one.
you know, when when you publish the episode, usually like you publish and you launch it right away. But I don't know if you remember, I didn't tell. I think I only just told like my like immediate family what the logs like that I was making a podcast. I think only really Eleni and Christina knew at the time.
Mm.
And remember how scared I was to actually launch it like at episode
Yeah,
5?
I
Yeah, I
remember you
think
were worried that no one would listen.
yeah, and we were talking about this sort of vulnerability aspect to creating and posting content, and I think that showed, and I think that's true for anyone who's posting something. You can't help but want to think, somebody's gonna want to listen to it, and you have doubts, but I think that goes away over time, and I think that's showed over the confidence that you've built with the new content.
And it's in like what I've been trying to do, and it's true, I've grown a little bit more confident in how like things like minor things that didn't seem so minor in the past, like recording and editing an episode. That was like it took me hours to record episodes before I learned like the tools to use to actually record things efficiently and things like that. Things like, this we're recording together, and all our voices can be heard, and we could have group things that are much more fun than doing, when you're in the process of editing and or recording and things. They're much more fun to do so because you're just hanging out with your friends. And that's a big aspect of the logs that I've been trying to push, especially now with what we call the Wonder Friends.
Yeah. I like the sense of collaboration that's with it. Like, I think everyone has something, a different background and something different to bring. And I think it kind of emphasizes the way you can look at a topic in a lot of different ways and get in someone else's head. And I think the logs has created a really nice space for that.
Yeah, and I end or I ended every episode, most episodes with like try to laugh a little,
Mm,
things like that, where it's just trying to be a little bit more encouraging to the person listening. It's a little bit more fun,
yeah.
and
Yeah. And
just oh, sorry, go ahead, go for it.
no, I was just also, it's a reminder not to take everything so seriously.
For sure, yeah, especially when you're trying to be creative in a creative
Hmm.
space. I think you're gonna have to just take that jump eventually. So what I kind of want to do with the rest of this episode is go back to the kind of the end of season 1 and see the logs through the eyes of somebody else, because a lot of what I've kind of done this thing before where I kind of recap the logs and where the logs are going with series like updated things like that. That it's just me and you kind of talking about where the logs is headed and where the logs has been. I don't think I've had the ability to talk to people that have been on the logs and seen how we can build this thing called the logs, this logs community together better, to build it better together. Maybe that's the better way of saying it. So let's go back to the end of season 1. As I've said, I posted episode 10 around April 5th, and that was Turn Up the Music. It was like a huge episode, like an hour. That's like my first hour-long episode, and there's a lot of editing that went into it. And then after that, I wanted to do something more free form. I was finishing school, nearing winter break. It's April, May, getting into the break, and I wanted to see how I could shift the logs content into something else, into something more freeform, into something that can change with what I'm trying to do in that week of content. So the series like This Is came out, and something like a game chat. So let's talk a little bit about game chat. And I want to hear from Beater, but I also want to hear from everybody
Yes.
else what you thought about game chat. Because I don't want this episode, like 2019 wrap, to be an episode about, oh, look at everything we did so well. I want this episode to be a thorough look into the logs,
Kind of like constructive criticism.
constructive criticism, anything that can make the logs better, because I think that's the only way you grow. And you have to voice those things. You can't just keep them internal, because then if you do, you'll go insane, and you'll
voice
over
logs.
criticize yourself.
But you also have to look at what you did good, because
Exactly. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. So we'll look at everything in this episode, and I want to look at it through your eyes, because when you get more eyes on something, it becomes better. It becomes better, and you could find the things that could work, and the things that need to be lifted up to the things that work. So
it's like revising paper for school.
exactly.
The more eyes, the better.
The logs is an A paper. We got to get it to an A plus. So we've got a writer in here. Eleni, do you want to plug your book real quick?
I published it in September. It's a poetry anthology called War and All His Friends. You can find it on Amazon. Yanni can link it below in the description.
Yeah, it will be linked below in the description. Okay, now let's go back to game chat.
Let's do it.
Before game chat, it was an episode of This Is, and I've talked about that before. But then we moved into something very, very new. I included more people, more voices in the logs, and it was interesting, and it was hard to do. I was trying to figure out a way to do it, a way that you didn't have to get people into one room, especially when the people in game chat were friends from online that lived not in the same state that we do. So, Beater, what did you think of game chat and what game chat tried to do? If you can give like a super general thing.
Super general. Yeah, I could do that. I thought game chat was actually kind of nice. I actually really liked it. It was a way for, since we all played video games together for such a long period of time, and we all kind of had like this little like gaming family, if you will. Like we were
Yeah.
all just a huge group. I thought that was really nice. I loved hearing like like Bethaby and then Jose
Yeah.
and EJ, and hearing everyone talk about different opinions that they had in the gaming scene and gaming, like as a society. That was really, really interesting, because I love hearing what other people have to say. I love hearing everyone's opinions, and we moved forward with that. Even though it was only 3 episodes, I still
Yeah.
I still and hopefully we get greenlit for an episode 4. We'll have to talk to the studio execs.
Yeah, we
But
will.
I have to talk to the studio execs. But I loved every second of game chat, and I love that even though in the first episode I'm kind of nervous, because I thought to myself, oh my god, like I'm on this podcast, I don't want to ruin this. I was so like anxious and conflicted, and then now as you see kind of through the episodes, I kind of have gained more confidence and kind of joking around.
Yeah.
And as you
Look-
said, like I've kind of become a staple. I kind of like that. It's kind of
Yeah,
like we
for
all kind of
sure.
like free formed it.
Exactly. Turned game chat into something like Beater's Corner, where we kind of talk about
Exactly.
things like that
We just
interest.
evolved.
We just evolved it, yeah. So, but let's put a pin in that for a second, because I like what you
Sure.
brought up with coming into the podcast
Oh, sure.
and kind of and thinking about, because I've voiced my opinion on like growth and things like that before, but I've
Mhm.
never really heard it from your guys' point of view, where you're coming into this thing that say for Lenny, which is like 50 episodes in, and you're like, oh, how am I supposed to kind of go into it? So how about like, Eleni, why don't you talk a little bit about your jumping into this sort of the logs community, this podcast thing? How did you feel? And how did you feel going into it? How did you feel after? How did you feel during like a recording session, and something that, it's all voice. So you have to, accentuate, you have to show emotion and things through your voice. And you have to have this virtual conversation with somebody you can't see.
Yeah, I mean, I can relate a lot to Beater over there, when he said that he was really intimidated
That's me.
about
That's Peter.
that's you.
That's you.
Intimidated about starting on somebody else's, creative project. And I didn't think I was gonna be nervous until I had the setup and I was there with you, and then I got
Mhm.
nervous because I didn't want to mess it up. I didn't know kind of the vibe going into it, even though I've obviously listened. When
Yeah.
you're in it, it's a whole different thing.
And
But after like we started talking, it got conversational. It felt very natural to be a part of, which is I think something that's really cool because you're able to, as a host, compliments to you, you are able
oh,
to
thank you.
cater your questions and like, guide the conversation towards something that would make the speaker, viewer more comfortable. And I think that's not an easy thing to do, but that's an awesome characteristic that I've seen you develop.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a hard thing to do, and I think the only way you can do it is by actually training and getting people into chats and learning how a conversation should go. Where it's slowing down, where it should be shifted, where it should be accentuated. So thank you. That's a compliment. That's a huge compliment to
Yeah,
what I'm
absolutely.
trying to do, and involving more people in it because I feel like I've been building up to this, and this is what the logs should be eventually, or it
Yeah.
should be, just a place where people come together and voice their opinions, and talk to each other about different topics. So, how about we move on to what about Christina? What do you
Wait,
what
wait,
do you
wait, wait,
think?
wait. Oh, you want to
Oh,
go
oh,
over there?
oh no, sorry, sorry,
I,
sorry.
I I wasn't sure what the order was.
Gary wants to be
So
Oh,
included too.
I thought you,
wait.
It's like, hold on,
Hold
forget
up.
about me.
I
Hold
thought
up.
you were going to next topic, and I was like, no,
Oh
hold
no,
on.
no, no. Um,
I'll
Christina
wait
is
my
one of the
turn.
longest standing people in the podcast. She is very silently in 7 episodes, because you don't really see her too much around in like voice logs and stuff, but she will be much, much more.
Is that a hint and a wink?
Yeah, right?
Even though you can't see us, just take our word for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your first appearance on the logs was on May 10th in Real Talks, what I titled Real Talks 1, from Origin to Endgame.
hmm
So
Speaking about one of my greatest passions, the Marvel Universe. So that was
that
an
was,
easy episode.
yeah. It wasn't an easy episode, you said?
It was an easy episode because of the topic, but it
Oh,
was
okay.
not because I was like, it's your first time, you're nervous, you're not really sure how to approach it, how to say things, how you should speak because again, the audience can't see you, so they don't really know your emotion behind it. But
Yeah.
it was once you fall into the rhythm of it, it was like an easy conversation.
And now that you've done a couple of these and the people have heard you in like these group settings, could you compare for me the one-on-one that we had in Real Talks and then in Karen and Ron, which was a little bit different. It wasn't really like a talk show sort of thing with an interview versus
Yeah.
the group aspect and the dynamic there.
Well, in real talks, it was just you and myself having a conversation about again something that we both really enjoy, and again it was more conversational. But in Karen and Ron, that was I think more difficult because we were acting out a scene,
Yeah.
and the audience cannot see obviously our expressions. They don't really know what we're doing, so we have to like enunciate things. I think at one point I was sitting down and I had to like hold my breath and then exhale really loudly. It was just
Yeah.
it was more of voice acting in that
Oh,
measure. I thought it was really fun. Karen and Ron was a huge project, and a lot of work went into that.
mhm.
Um,
Would you like
and
to
yeah,
describe it a little bit, just for a sneak, behind the scenes preview of the?
behind the scenes was you and I sat down. We wrote the script. We researched conspiracy theories that
Mhm.
are completely mind blowing that people believe or may not like whatever they believe in. And we decided to make it as Karen was a total unbeliever. She was like, "What? This doesn't make any sense. Why would someone believe in this?" And then you're like, and you
Like
believed in it.
Ron, who's like the full
Yeah,
go for
Ron is like,
conspiracy.
"This is true. Everything you say is like it's wrong because it is true." And the whole progression of the episode, you're trying to change my mind into believing it as well, or
Yeah,
Karen's mind, not my mind, but Karen's mind.
Karen's mine. And those episodes, they took a lot of time because they were fully scripted episodes,
Yeah,
like
and if you stick
like
around
like
to
this one.
Yeah, and if you stuck around to the end, you can hear some of the bloopers.
Yeah, some of the
There
bloopers.
were a good amount of times I messed up because I was trying so hard to voice act, and it ended up not working well sometimes. So if you stick
Yeah.
around to the end, you can catch some of that.
It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun, but it took a lot of time because you had to build a full script, and most of the episodes were like maybe 15, 20 minutes, but they included like 4 or 5
Hmm.
hours of work to go
Yeah,
that
and
went behind them.
we filmed those back to back.
Yeah, we filmed them back to back, and it took a
Hmm.
lot of reshoots and kind of different like splicing and editing to find the perfect balance between the conversation, the background noises, things like that. Some episodes had more effects, things to add to it. Some had less to add more to the words.
Hmm.
It was,
But
it was.
I sorry.
No, go for it, go
I,
for it.
I thought it was something very unique because on a podcast you don't really see something scripted like that as like you're listening to a scene in a movie, you know. I thought it was something
Yeah.
very different.
And I think that's what we really tried to do, kind of make it like an old radio style show where,
Yeah.
you would hear everything that's going on and you try to build your own scene. So you could listen to it anywhere. You could listen to it in the car and imagine what's going on with Karen and Ron in your head, and, how Ron is being so like gullible and how Karen is like not believing any of it.
More of a realist.
More of a realist, exactly. So it was a lot of fun. And then if you can compare quickly between the duo sort of one-on-one versus the group dynamic, what do you think?
The group dynamic, I think you have a lot more opinions circulating. It's a lot more inclusive. Again, it's not as intimate as a one-to-one conversation, but I think it's really fun because then you get to hear more people's voices and more opinions and more things come out, you know?
Exactly. Oh, and I think most people have to have that one-on-one sort of talk, and then moving into a group sort of holds a topic theme that we're going on with the episode. So it's interesting to see how something like that functions in the duo versus transitioning into managing a whole group and managing those, because you want to make it like a conversation still, but you have to give each person the floor and enough of the
Yeah.
floor to voice their own opinion. So how about we move to Darian, and let's get Darian into this conversation. What did you think of getting into the logs originally? I think your original episode,
S-
by the time of this airing, was only a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Um, what did you think of hopping into that original voice channel with me and Beater there?
Second. All right. So like I remember getting that text. It's like, hey, do you want to be part of the logs? And I was like, yeah, sure. Like that sounds awesome. But I thought that this episode was going to be filmed like in a week or two. And they're like, oh no, we're doing it right
Yeah.
now.
No, we're
And so
doing it
it's like,
tonight.
yeah, we're doing it in like 10 minutes. I was like, how do I mentally prepare for something like this? Just because like I never thought I'd be part of the logs. Like I've listened to a couple episodes, but like I'm not ready to do logs. Like I remember coming in to the channel. It's like, all right, how's my mic gonna sound? Like, can I hear you guys? Like, there's just so many thoughts. It's like what if I run out of things to say, or what if I, like, what if someone calls me mid recording? Like,
Yeah, it's a
all
lot of it
these,
is the little things. You want to have a good recording environment.
and like the other thing I was scared about, I'm like, what if I run out of something to say? And I was like that's the hardest part. But once you start talking about things that matter to you, things that you can like topics that you know very well, it's actually not that hard to do, and it just comes naturally.
Yeah,
And
it's
so
like you're talking on the phone, right?
and I think because I just went right into it, it was better that way versus if I had to think about like, oh no, I'm gonna be on the episode of the logs, like I would stress out about it as if it was something that was gonna haunt me for the rest of my life. But
I do have to commend you though. You were very fast on it. When I texted you, hey Darian, do you want to do an episode of the log? He's like, yeah, I'm always yeah, I'm interested. And then I said, okay, you want to get on Discord in 10 minutes? Like I can tell, I'm like I can tell how like stressful that would have been, yeah. But I really do commend you for kind of jumping in like straight out the gate. Talking about finals, how we discussed that, and how perfectly executed the whole plan was. It was fantastic. So I really have to commend you on that.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Another thing, like I'm always scared about, someone saying something. No,
No, go for it. What is just saying that he loved it.
Okay, I was like, I wasn't sure what that
Now you're
was.
good. Don't worry about it. Go ahead.
But like, if I want to say something, like, do I interrupt? It's like I feel like there's like a flow to it, but it's like you always have to make sure that like if you want to say something, you want to say it. But if someone else is talking, no one just randomly interrupt. So I think that's like the hardest part is try and get a nice flow to it, so that people that are listening can actually follow everything that's happening. So
It's actually very hard when you think about when you're actually in it because you don't see the other person that you're recording with. We're not sitting
right,
across the table, so you're not in that natural conversation. We're like, okay, Eleni's wrapping up her point. I'm gonna jump in.
right,
Hmm.
You just kind of have to feel it,
mm-hmm.
which is what you're pointing to. And like, do I just hop in? Do I risk interrupting, or is she? Let's say is Christina finishing her point here on the Avengers? Do I just raise my point on how DC is better?
Okay, I'm gonna
And
leave the chat in 2 seconds.
No, 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 no. So we need you.
No, you lost
and I
me.
and I think
You
Yanni,
got it
you
done.
do really good job of leading the discussion, so that like if there's an awkward pause, you know how to pick up, because obviously you've done a lot more episodes than I have done, or you know,
Yeah, just a few. Yeah,
yeah,
Just a few. It's just a few. Just a small handful.
yeah. Now,
So
in terms of those episodes here, this is what I wanted to ask you guys because, as I've said, we're moving into more group-based episodes where we're getting a lot more people into the episode and trying to have conversations with different opinions because, you know, everybody just doesn't want to listen to me talk, especially when I have such awesome friends to talk. Now,
Oh,
Don't make
blushing.
you cry.
oh, Hugh,
Oh, you.
when you go back now, I hope that you've all listened to at least some of my episodes in the past.
Never heard of them.
Damn. Well,
what's the logs?
Wait, is this the wrong Discord?
yeah.
Oh, I'm out. Bye.
By
See you guys.
now, if you were to compare those old episodes, I mean, sure, mic quality and stuff like that aside, uh, if you were to compare those, like say season one, to some of the more recent voice logs content, I wanted your opinion. What do you think of the transition between very I say scripted, but like to a point, scripted to a point episodes where there's a lot of research and a lot of research presentation versus more free-formed fun episode. Okay, they're both fun, more research, free-form episodes that kind of take a topic and just go from there. Anybody can have the floor here.
Um, for me, I think it just shows a confidence, not, and I said it before, but I think the ability to freeform and talk for that amount of time and have good things to say is something that's not easy. And I think it develops over time in kind of kinship with a natural talent for speaking. Something I did want to note is what I like about the incorporation of the new people and new themes is that um there's something for everybody to like and to listen to. Like, for example, you guys do the game chats, and for someone who's not a gamer, I'm not particularly interested in those specific episodes as far as the content of it, but I can find so many other episodes, and I know that the next episode that'll be up would be something that I know I'd find interesting, and it will kind of like spark interests in different themes. And I think that's something really cool that you've done over time.
Just trying to because that's like second what I call the second phase of the logs after season one. It was taking like this episode is going to be about this. This is game chat. This is about games. This is like this is like oh man that's very that's very confusing to say. This is the this is series, and
In
it's about
quotes.
this is quote the this is series
There you go.
End
end
quote.
quote,
End quote.
and it takes definitions of specific words and it breaks them apart. The next thing, it's like the text to life series where this is about what's it called, books and literature and poems and things like that that I find interesting. And now what I think it's hard to do those things because you have to dive deep because you're going so specific. What I've been trying to do is go back up and look at things in a more broad and a more global scale, where you're talking about themes of things, and I think that's what voice logs became.
Yeah. I think going back to, what you just said about themes, I think that's what people can relate to because they're universal. We see trends in whether you're talking about games or politics or philosophy. I find that there are a lot of common threads when it comes to themes. And I think that's something that's really interesting. And just to bring in one of your most popular episodes, which is about music and Amr Diab and how
Yeah,
the different
That's
there's
awesome.
like a language barrier and a culture barrier, but music and taking a second to understand and incorporate that into your life will enrich you and open your eyes to something else.
for sure. Yeah,
Mm,
that was a really fun episode to do.
Yeah,
Um,
that was a really fun episode, and I know, like, I see why it's popular. And it's funny to me that even in Egypt, it's gained a lot of popularity.
yeah, that that is crazy to me. It is like for my audience, it's not the like the population spread is the U.S. and first as the most amount of people listening, and then it's Egypt as the second most amount of people listening.
Can I interrupt to ask a
Wow,
question?
that's interesting.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Can you fathom the fact that your voice is being listened to by a complete stranger in a whole other continent? Like, how is that for you? Like, to wrap your head around that?
It's I never really thought about it like that. Because when you're looking at it, you go into the hosting service and then you can see your statistics, your downloads of throughout the world. It's weird to see because you'll see like a download or two in like you know Libya, a download or two in Thailand, and you're like, wait, like that's so weird because those are people.
Yeah.
Like, they're not a download, it's a person, and if they're downloading it, they're most likely listening to it. I mean, I would hope there's just, like, not randomly downloading things to their phone, and they're listening from Apple Podcasts, they're listening from Spotify, they're listening from Google and things like that, and it's so weird because it's I don't know, it humanizes? Is that a
I think
wrong word?
I think it's such a testament to how much people underestimate the power of, the different platforms that are available to us to share our voice because you are sharing your voice and opinions. And for it to be able to so easily travel across the world, I think that's amazing.
Oh, yeah. Like, imagine, I'm sitting here recording an episode with you guys that could be, like, downloaded and listened by anyone that has a phone and a
Mhm.
Spotify subscription,
And anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Blows
and
my
anyway
mind.
Let's get a quick
anyway.
plug going.
Let's get away Peter, get that plug going, come on.
All right. So listen, if you haven't, the Logs is available on, we're talking Apple Podcasts, talk about Google Play, Spotify, and Podbean. And with all these episodes that are coming out, we're doing a 2019 wrapped. But even though all these episodes are here, they're now. And as Jay Jonah Jameson said, it's hip, it's now, and it's wow. I just hit my
Let's get
whiteboard.
it. And now from our
Usually in the
amazing.
middle of podcasts or videos, it's an advertisement about something else, but we're advertising ourselves in the middle of a podcast.
and now it's
And
like
now a quick word
If
from
you're
our sponsor.
watching right now, watch another
every
episode.
YouTuber, a quick word from our sponsor.
And now a
Raid
quick word
Shadow
from our
Legends.
sponsor. Raid Shadow Legends. Raid Shadow Legends is an immersive experience.
Don't mean to toot our own horn, but
Yeah. Okay, so why don't you plug something?
why don't I plug something?
Can I plug
Yeah.
my Instagram?
Plug anything you want to plug.
Oh, is that just an open thing? All right, all right, let's get a quick.
Wait, I don't know. I said you said it, not you.
Oh, my bad. Okay, all right, relax.
You know,
Wow.
if you want to take it, he was ready.
Well,
Yeah.
I gotta listen. I gotta get my one, follow me per episode.
Oh yeah, that's right. Go ahead.
Oh, thank
Everybody's
you.
Instagram will be linked below.
But please follow
Follow
me, Peter.
Peter especially because he needs
Thank
it.
you, Eleni. There we go. Peter underscore
He
Giano.
needs the
follow.
validation.
I do need validation. Peter underscore Giano, please follow me. I need followers. All right, that's my one.
And if you're feeling like in a giving mood, add a comment on his most recent post.
Atacom, it is
Yeah,
one of the
it's
most
a good
fire
photo.
pictures I've
I
ever
took
seen.
it.
Yeah.
It was
There's
taken
one
by yours truly, Eleni Cristina.
there's one photo on there that was taken by Elena Cristina here and I want you guys to figure out what it is. And if you have, go to the photo and comment.
You came from the logs.
Yeah.
Yeah, just tag the logs.
Comment L1 that you came from the logs. If you comment L1, Otis will say hi to you.
And you will get a special heart and a place in my heart as well.
Wow.
Yeah, you will get a personal video into your Instagram DMs from Otis.
And it will be
And
your
who
username
doesn't
on my
want that?
whiteboard. And it will be your username on my whiteboard. And everyone knows Beater's
Oh, there you
whiteboard.
go. It's going to be your
There you-
username from Instagram on Beater's board.
And listen, Beater's board is the place to be.
It is. It's a pretty good board.
Pretty 10 out of 10. It's a pretty good board. 10 out of 10.
Pretty good. Oh, Darian hasn't seen it. Damn.
Wow.
He's not super bummed out. He's just super bummed out about it.
He's like, I don't really
Mm.
mind.
He's like, it's all right, but thank you for the kind and generous offer.
We had an
Um,
awesome
board.
director for that photo shoot, right?
Facts.
You know, I try.
I mean, it had to have
Okay.
sold it.
What were we talking about?
You were
much, I
asking
don't know.
Christina what she wants to plug.
Oh,
Plug,
yeah. What are you going to plug?
What am I gonna plug? You know,
Yeah.
you know what I think. Well, you don't know what I think.
Or do you?
All right. Well,
Someone want to jump in?
We're waiting for your plug.
No, where you go ahead.
wait for your plug.
I was saying we do another kind of voice acting series with everybody.
Oh, that would be fun.
You know,
Oh.
with
That'd
be
everybody in
awesome.
it. Like
Yeah.
all the Wonder Friends.
Like, yeah, an audiobook.
Yes, I would so buy that book.
For War and all his friends, we just do an
War and all-
audio.
yeah,
Oh,
It's different emotions.
Every chapter is a different Wonder Friend.
Yes.
The Wonder Friends read War and all his friends.
Oh
There
boy.
you go.
wow. There we go.
And
That's-
be on the lookout, Amazon. We're looking at you.
Can you do that?
Shh, watch me.
I don't know.
Watch me.
Is I don't know. Are we gonna get into some legal issues?
I mean, the
Wow.
author is right here.
Yeah.
Like if
Yeah,
you
as long as the author that is in this Discord call gives us the heads
I don't
up.
know, because
Not
the
Amazon
copyright
stuff,
goes to
so-
the publisher, so
Yeah, so Amazon might
Uh-oh.
step in.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching the logs.
The
copyrights me on my own.
Here's the copyright claim.
So, guys, we've had a good run at the
We
log.
had guys, that's been pretty
hashtag
neat.
why I left the logs.
Hashtag it.
Hashtag it. Do you remember that? Speaking of why I left the logs, it was remember. Oh, you don't. I was talking with it all the time with Christina when I was going. Like it was like season 1, you know, heading into that summer, and I kept saying, episode 35. Episode 35. If I get there, it's gonna be why I left the logs, because at that point it felt so like crazy to me that there's gonna be 35 episodes, or am I ever gonna get to that point? Because it was so hard to do. And
Were you actually considering just ending it after 35?
see,
What?
I think it started off as kind of like a jokey thing, but then there was like an almost realistic aspect behind it.
yeah, because originally I was gonna do 35 episodes of that season 1 sort of thing. I was gonna do 3 seasons and then a final 5-episode season.
Okay.
So episode 35 would be why I left the logs or something like that. It would be tagged with I'm done sort of thing.
I would be in tears.
Right?
Yeah. So and that was like the like it was mainly, I think it was a joke that we were, you know, why I left the logs, you know, stuff like
Shout out
that.
to clickbait.
Shout out to click. But I did title that episode 35 is called Logs. So if you go back, you will see that episode 35 is why I left the logs, but the logs are still going because after episode 35, there are like 20 more episodes that lead up to this one, and many, many more, hopefully in 2020. So
Stick
that was
around to find out.
that's a fun little tidbit that we've gotten in this Wrap 2019 where we're spilling stories. How about we say, do you guys have any stories to tell of 2019? It could be with the logs. It doesn't have to be with the logs, involving the logs.
Wait,
How about
can I
Darian?
make my plug first? Can I make my
Oh
plug
yeah, you want to
first?
plug? Yeah, go for the
Yeah.
plug, and then why don't you tell your
So-
story after that?
Yeah.
Darren's like, skip over me, it's fine.
So I need some donations. My Venmo is just kidding.
Oh,
Venmo is Darian 254.
Just kidding. I don't have Venmo.
Yeah.
But
You're
what was the
missing out.
question again?
You're missing out.
do you use PayPal?
Use Cash App.
I only take cash.
You only take cash? Wow.
Wow.
He also
Yeah.
takes
No,
fax.
Yeah.
True.
His fax
If he
number will
fax
be in the
me, yeah.
description.
Darian, will you
Telegram.
provide your fax number and I will put it in the description.
Awesome. I'll send it over later.
There you go.
Great.
You heard it. You heard it here first.
You heard it here first. If anybody wants to fax from anywhere in the world, whatever the fax may be, you could fax it to Darian's house.
He's doing accounting, so
He'll be. Feel free to send him your
if
taxes.
you have any
your fan mail.
questions,
Send him your taxes, any fan mail, fan letters.
Start getting
There's
faxes
my-
in Russian.
my hourly rate's $80 an hour. Thanks.
Wow. You know what? It's still something.
You know what? 60 of those $80 just because it's Dare Bear. The 20 is just
But-
for the work.
There's a
That's right.
logs
20
discount.
flavor.
$79.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Ooh. Okay. Epic.
All right. So there you go, guys. The fax number will be included if it's provided in the description. Yeah, and so now can you tell your story? Do you have a fun story, or was that it?
What was the question though? I missed it because I was getting ready for that joke.
Oh,
No,
you.
no, Darian, you said I have a plug. Was that? Oh, that was your
that
plug.
was the
Venmo.
Venmo. It was the
Oh,
Venmo.
the
You got it as a
Venmo.
plug?
Okay. So,
Oh,
yeah, there
It
was
was
no
a
question.
joke, yeah.
Aw.
The joke is
It's
funny.
funny.
Funny. Let's laugh.
That's that. What's that a shout out to?
That's shout out to Jess, who has
And-
not been on this episode.
Yeah, and
Oh,
was she
yeah.
supposed to?
Yes.
Oh, she was.
All right, guys. Now, if you turn to page 53 in the script,
Yeah, if you go over there to your Google Doc and look at page 3, you'll see a whole section that Jessica was supposed to have, but
yeah, we just etch it out with red marker.
just X it all out.
So everyone,
yeah.
go to her Instagram and ask her. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, everyone comment under her
Ask her why
Instagram.
she's not on this episode.
Yeah, ask her why she left the logs.
Oh,
Got him.
yeah. She's never been on the logs, but hopefully she will be soon.
Peer pressure.
For sure, yeah. If you're listening to this episode, Jess,
We love you.
yes.
True.
And I keep losing my track. Oh, yeah, Darian. The question was what is one thing from 2019, a story that you want to share, something that happened, something it could involve the logs, doesn't have to, some fun thing from 2019 that you'll remember.
Ooh, something I remember. I think I shared the story with you guys, but I was walking to my final, and I see this cross, and I was like, "What is happening?"
No, let him
Out of
finish it.
all
Let him finish
stories.
it.
No, let him
finish
go.
it.
This is good.
Let him
This is
go.
a good
Let him
story.
finish it.
Why did you think of
I'm
this
like-
so
Let him talk.
fast?
Let him talk.
It's the
That's
highlight
what
of my
you're saying
year.
it too.
Let him talk.
Story.
And so, like, I'm walking, I'm like, what happened? Like, how did I not hear about this? And I'm, like, coming up closer to it, and I was like, it's a raccoon.
Oh boy.
And there's, like, a cross, and that
Oh, boy.
says, rest in peace, little Timmy.
Rest in peace, little Timmy.
And then, like, the next day, it's still there, but now someone added a blue, and it says, get well soon. I was
Oh.
like, oh, no.
Actually,
And then the next,
after you told us that story, I wrote "Rest in peace, little Timmy" on my whiteboard.
yeah. And then the next day, someone
Yeah.
left flowers and candles, so...
And little Timmy's just
Can
become
you
such an
imagine?
icon.
He's trying to tell a story.
And so, like, I was walking to my final, and I saw that, and I was like, wow, like, I never expected that to happen on my walk to my final, so.
Is that a sign for your final? Is that a sign?
Is that a sign? Yeah,
Is
just
that open?
post up with a cross.
Well, if you guys are watching this, comment recipe.
If you guys are watching on YouTube,
Just comment rest in peace, Timmy.
Comment rest in peace, Timmy.
It's little
Laugh.
Let's get the longest Let's get the longest chain going of R.I.P. little Timmy.
Yeah, go to Darian's most recent post.
Go R.I.P. little Timmy.
I'm gonna do that right now.
Me too.
R.I.P. little Timmy.
R.I.P. little Timmy.
I don't know, I just thought that was, like, the funniest moment, because,
Yeah.
like, everyone at school knows about the story, and so...
Was it a little sad though?
It was, like, I think what really made me sad was to get well soon, like, I thought that was kind of, like, sad, that made me more sad than, you know,
Your most recent says, even though the Hawks lost last night, I still had an amazing time with the United States.
R.I.P. Little Timmy.
I just commented R.I.P. Little Timmy.
Would I like that?
So there was it was a dual sort of emotion with little Timmy. It was
Yes.
it was a laughter in the comedic aspect, but there was a tragedy, a true tragedy there.
Yeah, but I guess the more happier thing that happened is I went to see a Blackhawks game that Eleni just commented R.I.P. Little Timmy on.
And there's another sort of duality to that game because they lost, but you did see
they
see
did.
them.
But
So
I got to
there's a
see a new
tragedy there,
scoreboard, which I thought was amazing because the United Center just got a new scoreboard and it's a lot bigger. Oh, Peter said something.
And I'm not just giggling.
I mean, listen, the United Center didn't have the updated scoreboard when Post Malone was performing, so it must be super new.
Otis, why don't you talk about Post Malone? I think this is where we're going.
Yes.
Yeah. He has to include
this
it
is
at
my
some
moment.
point.
This is what I've been aspiring with. So Post Malone, thank you, Danny. So Post Malone, fantastic artist. Yes, we all agree.
At this point, guys, you just mute the mics and let Otis talk for half an hour.
I mean, listen, you want 30 minutes of content? Let me talk about Post Malone. So Post Malone, great guy. 2019, we all, he released a lot of good songs. He started with White Iverson, which was fantastic. Then he moved up to, I Fall Apart, Rockstar. We're talking Sunflower. Sunflower wasn't that good, but it's okay. It was Friends of the Spider-Verse.
I like that one.
Some, overplayed radio. But he released a new album in 2019 called Hollywood's Bleeding. And the basis behind that album is he wanted to show that he made the move out of Hollywood and into, I believe he said, Utah, and how everyone in Hollywood's trying to suck you dry, as told by the title of itself, which ended up winning an award for, I believe, best album for hip hop and rap, because I believe he's gone from rap to hip hop, which is actually a pretty good, transition. And he's super, check him out. Super awesome. Really hope he sponsors me. Please sponsor me.
So it's Post Malone, your highlight of 2019.
No, my highlight of 2019 is being on the Logues.
Oh, good answer.
That's a good answer. Very good answer.
No, like Post Malone, he's one of my favorite artists, but he will never ever top me being on that first ever episode of Game Chat. And that was 2019, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was
I was gonna say, I'm like, you jumped in like I was wrong, but
no, go for it. Sorry, I was gonna say, was it really your favorite?
It was no. It's if I had to say so, yes, it's definitely one of my favorites because it also gave me because when you said let's do Game Chat episode 1, I was super excited to kind of just get on this podcast and help further it, I guess, because I realized that this meant a lot to you, and if I could support you in any way, this is how I could do it, by helping you with the podcast. And whenever you say, hey, I need an episode, or hey, would you do it? I'm always gonna be here and always gonna help you, always gonna support you no matter what. That's why being on the Logues is my top 2019 highlight, without a doubt.
That got really wholesome.
That did. That's cute.
That was. Hey guys, hold on. I have to clear my tears.
Everyone else leave the room.
Thank you, Otis, and I appreciate all the support that you give me.
Got you, man.
Because remember, what do we have that one episode where I was like, you're just on it. It was like our intro to one of the episodes where Beater's Corner, where you're like, I text you like, hey, you down to do an episode, man? And you're just in the chat right away. You're like, hell yeah.
Yeah, you said, hey, do you want to do an episode of the Logues? And within 0.2 seconds, I replied to you.
Yeah.
So
I feel like it was the same thing.
shows a lot.
You're in it. You're in it.
We're in it.
And you've become my operations manager. So
it's on my Facebook.
It's
on my Facebook.
So,
it's on my Facebook job description.
Should they go? Should they go friend request you?
Now.
Nah, let's just keep it to Instagram.
Let me go verify this.
Okay.
Let's keep it to Instagram.
I will verify.
Instagram is where my super cool awesomeness comes out.
Okay, perfect. Now, how about we move on to?
I can confirm, guys. Breaking news. I can confirm that Otis's Facebook says Operations Manager Coordinator at the Logues podcast.
That's
excellent.
Good job.
It's wholesome.
All right, back to your regularly scheduled programming.
Perfect. Thank you, Darian, for that fact update. Yeah, I'm here in live. Fact check.
I'm here live. I'm here live at the Logues.
We're here live at the Logues in WG349 channel And, yeah, it's a lot. It's one of those really backwater channels. That,
It's kind of staticky every now and
yeah,
then.
Yeah,
yeah.
like budget radio.
You lose connection, but then you flick the antenna and it comes back.
You just smack the daylights out of your antenna.
Just beat it down. I just thought of little Timmy again.
Man,
Hey, Lenny, what was your highlight of 2019?
Hey, Lenny, what was your highlight of 2019? Good save.
Wow, thank you for asking. um, okay, so I kind of have three things that I'm divided between for the big highlights because I had like three kind of big achievements.
Okay.
The first was starting Everelli, which I discussed with you a little bit in the previous episode.
Yeah.
Just and by the way, shout out to Christina because she is also the support and the push, and along with you, Yanni, because you guys. I didn't want to start a blog, but you guys, supported me and pushed me to do it, and I'm glad that I did.
Yeah, we talked about it in that episode where I was like, I took a lot of credit for you pushing the blog, but Hisina was like really like the main proponent of you got to do this.
You guys both were, so thank you for that. So that's one. I mean, if you want more details on that, I guess you can see that episode. And then the other one, another plug. Publishing War and All His Friends was a big achievement for me that I'll always remember 2019 for. Another plug. So that was something that I've always wanted to do, publish a book, and that was my first book published. I have lots other stuff in the works.
And just since we have you both on the channel now, a lot of those conversations with Warren and all his friends happened between you and Christina, and how she pushed you, and she was like, because I was there, but Christina was like there. She was in it.
She's the if I wrote poems, she was the first to read them, and she'll tell the story of how she would read them and tell me, we should do something with these. And so we printed them, and I sat with her on the floor of my room, and we had hundreds of pages of poetry just scattered, and we categorized them all, and I took them all, put them underneath my bed, and just never looked at them again. And she was like, well, what good is that? And, over a year after that, I ended up with a whole other collection of poetry that was more coherent in themes. And I mean, that first 100 and something poems is still unpublished in my computer. Yeah. So then there's that. So that's been a journey. I have a huge passion for writing, so it was nice to be able to.
Do you want to tease anything? If you mentioned a stack of poems, just came back just in time.
Yeah, I can tease that the next book will be love poetry.
Yes. Guys, this is epic.
Yeah, so I know you guys are excited about that, guys. You will love to read about.
You heard that here first on the 2019 wrap episode of the Logues. Big reveal.
And then just one more thing I wanted to plug. That was an achievement. Was something that has to do with our charity tour in Chicago, which I don't think I'm going to reveal yet, but I'm just teasing. So stay tuned for that.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's a good tease. I know what you're talking about there, and that's a good tease. That's a huge thing that happened in 2019, especially starting it in 2018 in like October, and then only a year later for something that big to happen. It's a lot of fun, and it's grown so quickly, which is kind of insane.
Yeah. And I'm surprised at the amount of networking that's happened and the support that's happened. So this year because of, we were working on, establishing a few things. We didn't do the Christmas event, but I really missed it. Last year it was very stressful because I was baking like crazy, and we were coordinating, and we weren't sure if people were actually going to come because it was this thing we had just created amongst a group of friends, and you're not sure what's going to happen with it. But that event ended up going really well, and I was, I'm getting all the memories coming up on my feed from the delivery of the toys last year, which was so fun. So I'm like, all the stress, but it was really rewarding after. So I'm excited to get back on that for maybe a summer event or fall event. So
it was crazy. It was only like a year ago now that we collected like 1,300 toys at our first event, something like that, and with clothes and toys and
that's awesome.
Like different things for kids, and we brought them all around to these children's hospitals that needed them, and it's grown. And then we added more hospitals to our kind of, like, I guess I could say, our network, our charity network.
The
through
orphanage was nice.
the orphanage was a huge event. It was so much fun to do after our summer event that we had in May of this year. Oh, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
And
I'm excited for that again.
and it's changed. It really is changed like an outlook, like my outlook on life when you do something like that. And I don't want to be here like, oh, it's so good to do this and have your charity and be this guy that's amazing. But when you're in it and when you kind of say like what we talked about in our Marion Bright episode a couple episodes ago when we introduced you, Eleni,
Hmm.
it's like when you take a little bit of that time to just say, "Hey, I'm gonna go and volunteer some time to just see something like this," and you see the other side, and you see
Yeah.
uh, your brother's keeper, I guess you could say. Is that the right way to say that?
I'm actually not sure.
Yeah.
I couldn't
Okay.
tell you
Well,
better.
Darren, can you work on a fact check on that?
Now back to
Right
Darian
on.
with the fact check. Darian.
While he does that.
While he does
What's
that.
that?
Well, I was going
Um,
to fact check back to the main studio.
well, yeah. Back to the main studio, WGS 963.
It's like a stormtrooper.
Yeah, FN 2987.
297, please.
Oh man, sorry.
That's right. We didn't get it from fact check, so it's okay.
Yeah, I didn't get it from fact check. Darian, can you check that for us?
Can I
Well,
confirm
while
or
Darian
deny?
gets back to us on that,
While Darian gets back to us on that, yeah, it was kind of crazy to see a personal growth that came along with the growth of the toy run Chicago.
Yeah,
Uh,
for
and it
sure.
was nice to see. And you guys are also involved too. Beater, Christina, and Darian. I
it.
think you
I've seen as a
volunteered.
founding member with us. Yeah, and Beater and Darian, you guys all showed your support.
I'll continue
With the
showing my
event, you guys came and helped us out, which was really nice.
Yeah.
Well, I'll
Yeah,
always
it
be
was-
my support.
Yeah, it was fun collecting toys and then delivering it.
Darian,
Both parts of it.
you can't lie. The drive over to the children's hospital was very, very wholesome.
Very true.
That was kind of
No
yeah.
need to fact check.
I get the fact check. Go ahead.
He's busy.
He's busy. Sorry, go ahead.
No need to fact check that one. That was kind of funny to see you guys both in the car. But yeah,
Like, it's funny, like now that we're talking about a over a year reflection, just our friendship has evolved so much and our group has really solidified, which has been a really funny thing to see everyone get so comfortable around each other.
yeah, that's true.
Because we're
To that
one
point-
big happy family.
Exactly. We have truly become the Wonder Friends.
We're gonna all get matching rings.
Should
Or
have that we.
t-shirts, wink wink.
Oh,
Oh,
Lenny, please.
that's a
Time for
teaser.
another
That
advertisement. Otis,
Time
do
for
it.
another, time for
no,
another
that's
advertisement.
you. That's you. You have to
Oh,
plug that.
sorry. All right. No, it's just not
Come
that
He's taking away from him. Let him do it.
No, that's fine.
All right.
Otis logs off.
Yeah, I logged off.
This is
Sorry,
the
guys. Check you guys later.
okay. How about you guys tag team it?
Sonny, would you like to initiate the plug?
Do you wear clothes?
Oh my god.
Oh my
I wear
God.
clothes.
Oh, well, we have just the clothes for you at the Logues merch store.
If you go to the link in my bio, Peter_Giano, please follow me and follow to this episode. Or you go to @thelogs on Instagram, you can have the link to the merch store. And in this merch store, you have so many fabulous designs. Leggings, we got them. T-shirts, you'll be blown away. Hoodies, warm. Say anything you
T-shirts,
need.
forget about it.
T-shirts, forget about it. Pillows, comfy. Stickers, customizable.
What?
Anything Logues is in the store only if you check out the links in our bios at the Logues, at Peter_Giano. Please follow me. That's 3. And just anything Logues related, please check out the links.
My favorite was hoodies, warm.
Warm.
Yeah, I ran out of
Ran out of adjectives.
Hoodies?
yeah.
Those things are warm.
Hoodies, warm. Pillows, comfy.
And you can, while we're plugging the shop, the merch store link will be in the description of this episode. They are now in the descriptions of the episode, so you can go right in. If you see some, if you hear something that you love, you can just go right in and buy it in like 3 or 4 clicks.
You'll be rocking that hashtag vape status. See what I did there?
I thought you were
Yeah.
gonna say hashtag rest in peace, Timmy. I was like, no,
Hashtag
we're not gonna make a T-shirt that says.
We're not
that.
gonna make it. Oh. We'll put a pin in that for now.
We'll put a pin in that. Tell us if you want a rest in peace Timmy shirt. Go to Darian's
Little
Instagram.
Timmy.
And comment below under his Blackhawks.
Comment below under his Blackhawks post at FastRunner11.
Say I want a Timmy shirt.
I want a rest in peace, little Timmy shirt.
Or
And
just
then
comment "Rest in peace, little Timmy," and we'll know.
Yeah, we'll know.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. I honestly have no idea. I've lost track of my outline here. If I'm being honest. We've gone through. Now Christina, why don't you give your big moments of 2019?
I was gonna say I was listening to you all talk about your favorite moments or your most memorable moments of 2019, and I'm sitting here like, am I the only one that lived this year in a blur? Like I don't remember anything that happened this year.
Besides the logs and going to see Post Malone in concert, that's all I got, really.
I mean, Avengers Endgame came out, and that really moved me. I can't believe at the end of that.
That really moved you.
That really moved me.
You move me.
I've never cried so much in public. At all
That's
in
true.
public.
That's true. We went to go see it. Christina and Lenny were crying. I did put my boots up on the table and say, "Guys, my sweet boots."
I should mute my mic before I say something.
What did you say? I didn't hear it.
I remember Peter is sitting next to me, and okay, Peter. So there were some waterworks there.
Huh?
Oh, you're trying to fight the fact that you weren't
He
crying.
was trying so hard. I've never seen a man struggle so hard to beat tears back.
Oh yeah.
You know what? That's a true man.
Where boys
You know-
cried, where men cried.
Where men cried. Exactly. If you're telling me you didn't at least shed one
Yeah.
tear during we won Mr. Stark, Tony, and when I Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good. I don't at me.
Or when she's like, you could rest now. You could rest now. You're
I
like,
mean,
no.
I prefer the Tom Holland one personally.
Or the
We
part
want Mr.
where he danced with Peggy. Did nobody else cry at that part?
Oh yeah, that got me.
I mean, I was trying. I think at that point I was trying so hard just to fight all the emotions going inside of my body that I didn't have enough
It's
time.
like,
to
I will not cry. I will not
I
cry.
will not cry. Yeah, I don't need it.
I don't
I don't
need
need
it.
it.
Darren, did you cry?
Yes. I love you 3000. Cheeseburgers.
Just read next in his Discord name. It's like anything.
Yeah.
You cry?
Dang, you got me
Darian,
there,
I love you
Peter.
too.
Guys, comment below. I love
Damn, you guys, comment below. I love
Go to Christina's latest post.
you. And go. I love you 3000.
I know you can. I'm private. You can.
Oh no.
Oh man.
Go to Darian's latest post.
Shove all the comments on Darian.
After recipe Timmy, comment on Nick Timmy. I love you 3000.
Yeah, you reply to your own comment.
Just reply your own comment. I love you 3000, Timmy. Yeah, so yeah, that was a big moment in just like cinematic history. Avengers Endgame came
I
out this
agree.
year in May, closing out. Or actually, why am I doing this? You should be doing the Avengers Endgame thing.
It's gonna rekindle all the emotions I've been suppressing since that movie came out.
Me
It
and you
was.
both.
I don't know. I think that I love the way they ended it because they took a risk and they nailed it. You know, a lot of the times with franchises, like they keep recycling their characters and keep trying to keep things alive that they're kind of like overused, kind of washed out. But I don't know. I really love the way that they ended it. Obviously, I wish Captain America could still be there. Iron Man could still be there, but I don't know. I think their ending was fulfilled, and it moved you to the point where you're like, oh my god, this is the end. Because we've been watching the MCU since we were very little. We grew
Yeah.
up with it, So that nostalgia that was there too.
It was just building.
It was building inside you, and then just poured out. Otis and I both cried together, hand in hand.
Listen, men need to cry once in a while, and that was
Yeah.
my once in a while.
Yeah. And you had pretty fire boots to cry in, so
Facts. If you guys haven't seen my Wolverine boots, steel-toed, I brought them to Avengers Endgame. That's the gist of the story.
Okay.
I thought you were gonna say, go to my Instagram and see my boots.
Go to my Instagram. No, I don't have it.
Will you have them up on your
Yeah,
Instagram?
if Wolverine sponsors me, probably.
Yanni, what was your 2019 moment?
Yeah,
What was
what
my
was it, Yanni?
2019 moment? Wow. Mine, I would say the transition. I think there were a lot of transitionary periods in 2019 for me. I transitioned from undergrad to medical school, so it was kind
Major
of like
accomplishment.
yeah, it was a major. Thank you. You know, it was a major thing, um, and it like it changed me as like a whole person. I think really, it like down to the to a lot of levels. Because you know, in undergrad, I carried a lot of what high school was, I think, into undergrad, and you know, I did change, I did grow, but I think it was like it's a stark difference from my personality now and my social person. I think I would say versus in non-med school versus undergrad and especially in high school. Another transition was it happened in the logs, you know, so I started the podcast, so it was, you know, it was a huge thing for me, and then, you know, to do that, especially when I had school and trying to finish my applications, things like that. Or actually, had finished them at that point, but to finish up the remaining classes that I had, to do that, and then to transition the logs into something that I could do, that I could pour more work into the summer, and then now to transition it into another thing, something that could be flexible with you know, my very heavy schedule. So there were a lot of transitionary periods in 2019 that I think I at least somewhat handled fairly well. So I guess that would be my thing, my 2019 sort of. If we're going on themes, that would be my theme of 2019. Yeah, it was fun. It was. I have to say, it was kind of like a blur. A lot of
True.
the things that you said with us, Christina, you know, like I can't pinpoint a lot of moments
Yeah.
in 2019.
It's kind of like when someone tells you what's your favorite movie, what's your favorite food, all of a sudden you forget everything, every song,
Yeah,
everything you've eaten. Yeah, I don't know. For me, it was a blur. Like
yeah.
looking back at it right now.
What was your favorite song of 2019, Christina?
God.
Ooh, I don't know. Oh God,
I
okay. Go ahead, then you go.
No, I was gonna say I forget, like you said, I forget everything, and I just have rediscovered old music in 2019, and that's what I've
Mhm.
been listening to for a long time.
Yeah,
Yeah, like I'm one of those people that I don't have a favorite artist that I'm devoted to with all their songs. I just jump around with
Same.
whatever song I like. Like
Mm.
I recently discovered a band called the Oh Hellos, and they're like my favorite thing right now. Um,
the
I
but
feel
yeah,
Oklahoma!
I
like
don't really.
music reflects like your moods and, you know, ups
Yeah.
and downs and how you're feeling at that time. And one band
Mhm.
speaks to you right now, and in a month, maybe you're kind of over it. And that's cool about music. I'm also not very loyal to just one artist or
Oh,
Yeah.
language.
that says a lot about me because I've listened to Post Malone for a long time. Says a lot about me. I like.
Now, you know what? Actually, I don't think I've ever, Darren, have I asked you what kind of music you listen to?
Talking about me?
Yeah.
No, the other
No, the
Darian.
other
Yeah.
Darren.
Oh, the other one. Okay, good. That's what I was thinking about. You know, I just wanted to make sure because you know someone else could have answered that. No, I'm just kidding.
Are you gonna
Darian,
answer
can we
Are
do
you
a
gonna
quick
answer
fact?
it?
Darren, before, can we do a quick?
it?
Quick fact check
What?
on your favorite type of music.
Fact check.
I almost had to censor this episode.
Yeah.
So for me, I really of late I've started to listen to a lot of 80s music. So like Bon
Ah, yes.
Jovi,
My man.
like of late that's what it's been, and then like of really late past week has been Trans-Siberian Orchestra. I mean, probably just with the Christmas spirit and all that stuff that's in my
Yeah.
head. But I kind of started listening to
Epic.
80s music, but I also listen to like the early 2000s music.
Yeah.
So it's
very
not like what's
interesting.
hot now, but what used to be hot like 10 years
Yeah.
ago. A lot of like throwback songs, and so like I don't really
Okay.
have
Relatable.
like I
Yeah.
don't really have like a playlist. I just like turn on the radio, and so it's like I change depending on what my taste of music is, and
Yeah.
even occasionally I like to listen to a couple of country songs.
Yeah, mine's a mixed bag
Like,
too.
Yeah. That's very interesting. I don't think I've ever asked you that question in like close to like 8 years of friendship.
Well, that's why you guys need to start making a playlist together.
Yeah, we'll make a playlist together.
We'll get on that.
Because I could have pegged you for somebody that listens to like hard EDM.
I
Really?
can see
Probably
that.
not.
I can see that.
I can see
No,
it.
I can definitely see that.
More
Like
like
Darian
some
going to rage
dubstep.
with a cool face mask. Yeah.
Yeah, like
Darian going to
I-
rage with a face
I-
mask.
I always
Yeah.
thought Darian was a big Taylor Swift fan.
I was gonna say Darian secretly has a stash of One Direction memorabilia.
You don't know.
He's quiet. He's quiet.
It's kind of a fact check. You fact checking that?
He's like
Darren, can
currently-
we fact check?
He's
currently
throwing
pulling
his stuff
down,
away right now.
he's pulling down his Harry Styles poster.
He's opening his window and throwing out all the merch.
Fact check.
I cannot confirm or deny.
All right.
He's pleading the Fifth Amendment.
Yeah, I plead the fifth.
He's pleading the Fifth. Guys, this is so sad. Can we get 10 likes on Darian's photo for Little Tim?
Comment
Um,
at Harry Styles.
No, go under Harry Styles' newest photo and tag at Fast Run.
Go to Harry Styles' latest photo and comment "Rip Little Timmy."
Oh my god.
Poor Timmy.
Poor Timmy.
Poor Timmy. Hashtag poor Timmy.
Poor
Moment of
Timmy.
silence for Timmy.
Maybe a moment of silence for Timmy.
All right, everyone, welcome back. That was the moment of silence.
Otis decided it was over.
Well, a moment of
The
silence.
log hosted by Peter.
Oh, my bad. Sorry.
No, he's operations manager. He's timing it.
I'm timing it.
He
We
is.
have to be
Oh,
on
it's true.
schedule.
Pretty good.
He's gone rogue. He's stolen the podcast.
Otis Rogue One.
He's too
Rogue One.
confident. He's too confident.
But yeah, that's. Does anybody have anything else to say about 2019?
It was
I'm
a great
ready
year.
for 2020.
I am also ready for
The next
2020.
decade. Yeah.
Me too.
And speaking of ready for 2020, I just want to do one little I don't know, plug teaser thing. We're gonna be experimenting with a slightly new sort of series thing, so keep a lookout on that. It will be featuring the Wonder Friends, and it will be featuring some of the Wonder Friends that haven't been, I think, one Wonder Friend, Jess, that hasn't been introduced yet. So we'll introduce her, and then we'll get into this awesome, cool new thing that we hope you enjoy. I hope you guys know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Do you know?
Yeah.
Okay, you do know.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
I just wanted to see how far you're going to go.
Yeah. So keep a lookout on that. The Wonder Friends will be back. They are stuck with me because they chose to do this.
It's in our contract.
It's in the contract that you signed when you came on board to the Logs. So thank you for signing the contract, and thank you for being here, and thank you for always making these episodes a pleasure to record, because it's a lot more fun when you have somebody to talk to on the other side of this screen that just is ready to talk, have fun, and talk, do random stuff, because a lot of these episodes, as we said, most of these episodes, at least for the voice logs, are just freeform random stuff, and it's fun to have random conversations. I always imagine those little posters or that meme where there are three people on a poster laughing and somebody's sitting on the side laughing. I don't know if you know that picture that I'm talking about, and it's like when somebody's laughing alongside the podcasters. So I hope that we're, as you guys are listening to this podcast, you're laughing along with us and you're enjoying this content, because a lot of it's just like fun content that is not meant to be serious. It's not meant to weigh on you. It's meant to be lighthearted. It's meant to lift you up, and it's meant to make you feel good. So I hope that's what the Logs is. I hope that's what the Logs will continue to be in 2019. I hope you guys will continue to be with me. You guys meaning, the cast and crew of the Wonder Friends, and you guys all out there listening in the audience all over the world. So thank you guys for being so awesome. I'm just going to give the Wonder Friends a moment to plug themselves, tell them where you could find them, and give them a little bit of time to talk about 2019. So why don't we go down the line, Darian? Plug yourself and give us your closing remarks.
Wow, that I was not ready for that.
All right, moving on, Eleni.
Love it.
I got
Like,
you.
I was hoping you start with like Beater.
Wow. Well, I'm starting.
Wait, Eleni, how about you plug Darian, and Darian, you plug Eleni?
Yeah, everybody has to
Oh.
plug somebody else. Yeah.
Okay, I got you. Well, Darian is really excited for 2020, and there are going to be a lot of challenges. You know, he's doing accounting right now, and there's some big tests happening, and he's preparing for those. So he's looking forward to what 2020 is going to bring.
Great. And where
That
can
is
we find
true, yeah.
Darian?
You can find Darian in person by fax or on his Instagram, FastRunner11. He
All right.
also does telegrams.
Okay, great.
True.
That's weak.
Yeah.
That's awesome, Darian. Now, Darian, can you plug Christina?
Ooh. Hmm?
No, I thought he was plugging me.
Oh,
Yeah,
well,
so
if you
which is
plug,
okay.
changing it up on me.
oh, okay. I thought we were just gonna do like a round table sort of.
Oh.
Can we
Okay,
That's
no,
a round
okay.
table?
Plug it any. Plug it any then.
Can we invest in a round table?
Eleni's gonna be having a new book, which is very exciting.
Oh,
Have her
I'm
make sure to
published-
get her current book along with your Logues merchandise. And-
Darian has decided that I will be publishing in 2020.
Oh, he's a fact checker, so you have to do it now.
That's facts.
Yeah, it's a
It's
fact
facts.
now.
That's literal facts.
That's literal facts from Fast Runner 11. Oh, boy.
All right. Is that it, Darian?
Yeah, I'm not.
I think 2020 is looking great for you, and I think
2020 is looking great.
2020.
It's looking
doing
hopeful.
And Logues merch,
it's looking
everyone.
great.
It's looking hopeful.
and also for Eleni, with her new charity, she's going to do a fundraiser to raise money for little Timmy.
Exactly.
So
It will be in the description.
Little Timmy's family.
Timmy's
GoFundMe.
GoFundMe. Mm.
Okay.
do it.
Since Eleni said enough of plugging, Christina, can you plug Otis?
oh, I got the best one.
Yeah.
All right.
Clap it
Was that
up.
sarcastic? Was that sarcastic?
felt a
Otis's
little sarcasm.
2020 is a mystery. And it is unexpected. It is going to be what he makes of it. He is going to be in many more Logues episodes. He is going to change his major from psychology.
Oh boy.
Oh wow.
He
He's
is
getting really
going
serious.
to he is going to make 3 new friends
It's not official.
while
Oh.
holding on to the Wonder Friends.
Epic.
Fact.
And he is going to develop an odd food allergy.
That is like a
Okay.
horoscope. Or
2020 is looking hopeful. 2020 is looking hopeful.
2020's looking hopeful. We got it, boys.
We got this, boys. 2020 is looking hopeful.
Got it.
All right, Beater, why don't you plug Christina then?
Christina's 2020 is going to be fantastic. We're talking here. It's going to be fantastic because Christina's going to keep her major, her continued major. Where she's keeping that. We're not switching like how she did with me. She's
Twice already, yeah.
concrete twice already. It's okay. I mean, listen, first is the worst, second is the best, third is the one with the treasure chest.
Damn right.
So
Damn
third time around, that's your treasure chest, baby. But Christina's gonna have a very hopeful 2020. Super excited to see how not just Christina, but everyone that's gonna bring in everybody. I'm plugging everybody. I'm going beyond the script. I'm going
You're going rogue again.
Thanks, Peter.
I'm going wrong. I'm
Well,
going
that's
off
good.
page.
That's good.
I'm going off page. Everyone's 2020 in this Discord and everyone listen to the logs will be fantastic because the world is a better place just because you're in it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Peter.
That's my wholesome moment.
All right, Peter. Thank you so much for that plug of Christina. And I guess
Everyone.
you know,
Everyone.
thank you everyone for being here.
Wait, we didn't plug you.
I mean, I'm plugging myself, so it's all good.
Oh, all right.
That's fair. That's fair.
Lead.
Plus, you guys did more of a horoscope kind of thing, not like a where to find them kind of thing.
Well,
and
that'll
any-
be in the description.
I
So.
that'll be in the
myself like 3
description.
times.
Yeah. So we don't even need to say it. Just go follow all their Instagrams in the description below. Everything. So thank you guys for being here on this episode. Thank you guys in the audience for listening again. You guys are the lifeblood of the logs. So thank you for listening all over the world. Now, just to close it up, we're going to do this awesome quick outro. Go and follow the Logs on all your social media platforms. Go to Twitter. You can go to Instagram. You can go to Facebook and follow the Logs and get up-to-date content all the time. What's going on with the Logs? Go and follow and subscribe on all the podcast platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play Podcasts. Then you can go to YouTube and subscribe there, get a live transcription of the episode, follow along with what we're saying. Then, of course, you can go to the merch store, get awesome swag from the Logs, as we've said. It's a lot of fun to make these cool content. So we hope you're enjoying the shirts, you're enjoying the pants, you're enjoying everything that the Logs offers. So thank you. Thank you for listening to this episode. And hey, how about as this little challenge? How about you tell a friend about the Logs? Tweet if you see us on our Instagram, tag a friend in the comments. If you see somebody walking by that you like, a friend, just tell them about the Logs. Hey, I'm listening to this awesome, cool new podcast with this random group of people, and they're kind of fun. So thank you all. Thank you for listening. We hope to see you back in the next one. We hope to see you all throughout 2020 and beyond. And we'll see you soon. All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Love you.